Call our meeting to order. Mr. Brown, has the meeting been properly advertised?
Yes, sir, it has.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clint, are we good, sir? I think I saw a thumbs up. All right, so good evening to everybody. To those who are watching us on Facebook Live, happy to have you to tune in with us as we give ourselves to the business of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners. So this time we're going to stand. Mr. Mosley, I'm sorry, I'll let you sit down, sir. If
You on deck.
you please prepare to come in. Listen to our invocation and our pledge.
Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before your divine presence on this beautiful Tuesday night. And Father, we are so grateful for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We pray now, Father, for your divine insight and wisdom for this body as they deliberate on the business of this community. And we thank you for all that you do for us. We lift up the many families who are going through, Father, who've lost loved ones, as well as those who are suffering from the COVID virus. We pray that you be with them and heal them. This we thank you for in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How was that, Commissioner?
I was with you, man.
Mr. Mosley, you're out of breath, man. I wouldn't have put you to the test. I know you need to catch your breath first. Next time, just ask me to be excused. First, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Certainly enjoying having you be a part of this organization. And wearing many hats, many hats. This time, we will entertain approval for the minutes for the month of October. It's invited to us.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. If any discussion on that item? There being none, all those will let it be known by raising their right hands, please, in favor. Those opposed, the minutes are approved. Proclamation, GIS Day, Mr. Clint Stanley. Speaking of wearing many hats.
Good evening. Today we have a proclamation for GIS Day, and to tell you a little bit more about it, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Johnson with the Tax Assessor's Office.
Ready or not?
You got it.
Thank you for having us. I've been doing this now for, I think this is 13 years, and I appreciate the support of the commission every year. We get a proclamation out, and this year, GIS Day is going to be on November the 17th. It's going to be virtual, though, so no on hands this year, unfortunately. But the city and the county get together and showcase everything that we can put together with GIS tools, the mapping, always developing and adding more capability every year. So great things to come. Quincy from the city is with us as well. And I don't know if you want to say anything. No?
Well, thank you for having us here. I just want to thank you all for support for the city GIS as well, and we look forward for any other collaboration in the future.
Thank you. We're glad that you guys are able to work together. You know, it's kind of hard now to believe that at one time we did not have a GIS department with all that you do. It certainly helps us out. So many things are related to mapping. And you guys are kind of the unsung heroes because you're in the background, but your work is always in the forefront. So just know that when we see those maps set up, we appreciate the work that you have done and you do every day for us. Mr. Brown?
You want to do a little photo op?
Yes, sir. We need to read the, who's,
Let Mr. Stanley read that.
Mr. Stanley. You can't get out of that part, huh?
I'll try to. I'm hearing an echo in my ear here, so it's going to, if I mess up, don't hold it against me. Proclamation, National Geographic Information Systems Day. Whereas a geographic information system integrates hardware and data for capturing, managing, analyzing, and displaying all forms of geographically referenced information, and Whereas GIS is an important part of geography awareness by allowing us to view, understand, question, interpret, and realize data in many ways that reveal relationships, patterns, and trends in forms of maps, globes, reports, and charts. And whereas National Geographic Information Systems GIS Day is November 17, 2021, and whereas Geographic Awareness Week promotes geographic literacy in schools, and whereas Liberty County is committed to expanding GIS to the schools and to the general public in order to showcase real-world applications with GIS that helps answer questions and solve problems by looking at data in a way that is quickly understood and easily shared. Now, therefore, I, Donald Lovett, Chairman of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 17th, 2021 as National Geographic Information Systems Day in Liberty County, Georgia, and urge all citizens to participate in the virtual GIS activities planned in Liberty County and Hinesville, Georgia. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the Great Seal of Liberty County to be affixed this third Wednesday of November in the year of our Lord 2021 and the year of our county 244.
Thank you, sir. Come on up and we'll do, I like that year of our Lord and year of our county. We'll add that to ours, though. Young lady. Felt like something Abraham Lincoln wrote. Commissioners, if you come in for the picture, please. Take this. Ready?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Y'all can't count no higher than that?
One more. 4, 5, 6.
Got it?
Thank you.
They normally have the sand we can play in and all that kind of stuff. So we can bring that back next year. All righty. Right on to our business. We now go to our departmental reports. Finance, Ms. Kim McLaughlin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You should have your September report. I know it's already November, but we've had a rough month. October was pretty rough. Audit work finished and, well, audit field work finished. I'm not going to say the audit work is finished, but field work is finished, and EMS is trucking right along. But anyway, let me share with you the results of September, or year-to-date, as of September 30th. We've collected about 9% of our budgeted revenues, and we've exhausted about 19% of our expenditures. So right now, we're about $4.2 million in the hole, but that's normal for this point in time. This is the time where we live off of our fund balance. At the end of September, there was approximately 3.7 months of operational expenditures in fund balance. In 1 year, this time, 1 year ago, we were at 4.6 months. So definitely using more fund balance than we did last year. For your departments, there's a couple of departments that are running slightly ahead of schedule. They've been on your report already the past 2 previous months. Data processing, they capture all of the annual maintenance contracts for several software programs that are always paid at the beginning of the year, so that kind of skews their budget for the next several months. We pay all of the CRDC dues, did you get that right? Mm-hmm. Right, Coastal Georgia Regional Development dues, 1 time a year, so that's done for the rest of the year. Superior Court, we also pay the law clerk right up front, so that skews that budget for a couple of months. In mosquito control, there was actually a piece of equipment, a Guardian 190 G4 mosquito sprayer that was purchased in September that was not budgeted. So that kind of through their budget a little ahead of schedule, but I expect them to fall back in line. Library administration's actually running ahead of schedule because they're now billing us 2 months at a time instead of monthly. So there's actually, October's payment is already in there. So I've alerted our payables person to pay it at the end of those 2 months, not at the beginning of the 2 months, so it won't skew our budget. And other financing uses, there's some operating transfers out that are required to sustain E911 operations, so that's running slightly ahead of schedule as well. In your solid waste fund, you've got about a 3,300 net loss right now, but we're real early into the year. We're still within our budget parameters. We've only exhausted about 21% of those budgeted expenditures, so we're staying within our budget. And all of your special revenue funds, your 911, your victim witness, child support, record service, they're all operating within their budget parameter for this time of year. When you fast forward to sales tax 6, looking great still. At the end of September, we are now $2.8 million ahead of schedule.
Wow.
It's fantastic. And again, this sales tax runs through March 2023. So we still have over a year and a half of collections still to go. So we could end up maybe $4 million to the good.
Wow.
The second page of your sales tax 6 report illustrates your road money detail. And I need for y'all to, when you get this report, if you will, look this page over to make sure that I have your obligations correct. And if there's something missing or incorrect, please let me know, because sometimes the timing of when those contracts start and end, I'm not always the first to know. So there might be sometimes a month or so that I lag behind because I'm just not made aware that a contract has been obligated or started, or that one has finished, and so I won't catch that up and de-obligate funds. But I do need you to check this, because this is where I identify your projects that you have ongoing.
Okay.
In the T-SPLOS, that format has changed a little bit because we have started spending money on those mandatory 30% items, so I had to change the format of your T-SPLOS report to include those. Even though it's a very little amount, I had to go ahead and create a new worksheet for you so that you can see all of those 30% projects, and then on the bottom is your districts, and you see you have not spent any of your district money in T-SPLOS yet.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Kim, on this T-Splash, how much are we obligating to the bypass? I mean, none of this?
No, sir, none of this is projected to
Okay.
go to it.
Okay.
And sometimes, I'm not sure, Trent and I sometimes, we struggle with what something means, like 119 in Barrington Ferry, or Highway 17 in Barrington Ferry, or, you know, the US 84 connector or something. So sometimes I have to be very specific and make sure I understand which project it is that we're charging expenses to, because sometimes these all look about the same to me. So I work closely with Trent to say, okay, is it this one or is it this one? Yes, sir.
I just noticed something else.
Okay.
Where you got your T-Splash, I probably need to look back. You got Liberty County Commissioner District Fund. Under the cities. Then you got at the bottom, Liberty County District.
So the Liberty County District funds, that $14,450,000, that's the summary. If, on the very bottom is how it's broken out. District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see that totals the $14,450,000. So the very bottom is your schedule of the district funds. You see the proposed distribution? The $14,450,000 on the very bottom?
I think what I'm saying is the way how it's worded, both of them are saying
Right.
Liberty
The
County
first- The first one is just a summary, all 7 of you together.
But this, I'm talking about where the cities are located, the municipalities is located at.
Yeah, probably, I see what he's saying, you and I talked.
You just want me to move that down?
No.
below the
I
city.
think we just put a header on top of the cities and just say.
Okay.
City appropriations.
Yeah, I just saw that and I
A
was
separate
Okay.
line, that probably, yeah, we'll box it
Okay.
out a little bit.
kind of,
I follow you.
Sure,
yeah.
sure. Or, yeah. Okay. I guess I didn't mean that it was the district funds right below that. I just meant that was Liberty County
Right.
funds.
Okay.
And then there's Allenhurst and Flemington and Gum Branch and
Right,
all that.
okay.
But, yeah, I can move that, drop that down, or add another line item to say cities.
Yeah.
City
okay,
projects, right.
yeah.
And everybody gets their allotment automatically except for Gum Branch and Allenhurst, is that right?
Right, we hold their funds until such time that they use it, because they don't have anybody to manage that. But all the other municipalities, Flemington and Hinesville, Midway, Riceboro and Walterville, we cut their checks, the first check run of each month. So, like on the 10th, they will receive the funds that we received in October.
So what happens if someone like Allenhurst doesn't,
Well, I can tell you, just in the last couple of months.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
You working on
And-
it?
And just in the last couple of months, actually, Clinton had called me to say, hey, does Allenhurst have any money? And I was like, yeah, Allenhurst and Gum Branch have money left in sales tax 5, sales tax 6, and now T-Splost. So there was a few things that took place in Allenhurst already, just small things, maybe millings and that kind of stuff, where he sent it to me and I charged it to sales tax 5 under Allenhurst.
okay,
So yes, Gum Branch and Allenhurst still have money.
okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Stevens, we had a meeting today, just a little sidebar. The chairman, Mr. Long, myself met with the mayor and the council. As you know, Mayor Hines passed
Right.
this year, and they got basically a new administration down there, except for Mr. Easton that's been there a long time, but a new mayor, less than 3 months on the job, and 2 new councilmen, a couple of months on the job.
Okay.
And we met with them, and we're gonna work with them, the chairman and I, Joey, Kim, we're gonna, just
Okay.
make them all familiar with what we have going up here at the administrative complex, and just meet with them just to bring them up to speed. But Trent was out there today, and
That took up
we
some
have-
of it.
We have already identified some projects down there, so we're gonna get started on that pretty soon, so.
Okay.
And I'd like us, while we were talking about that, Commissioner Thrift, to do, Georgia, touch base with Gum Branch to see what we can do too.
Yep, and I can share with you too what Gum Branch has in sales tax 5.
Okay.
Because that sales tax is no longer collecting, but there is still
Still funds in.
small amount of funds in there, specifically Allenhurst and Gum Branch.
Right.
Now, let's say, like the city of Riceboro. Let's say that Riceboro, I hadn't looked back to see what they got from 5 or 6. Let's say if they got funds left over and there's no need for it, Mr. Chairman, Joey and Kim, can that city designate that fund to be used for something else if there's a need for it?
Well, first, let me just share, there is, no other city has any funds left
Okay.
in sales tax 5.
Okay.
And in sales tax 6, we started cutting those cities' checks directly. So the only cities that would have monies left,
Would be-
or money sitting in
Would be
5 or 6
Allenhurst
or
and-
T-Plus is Allenhurst. and
Okay,
Gum
okay.
All the other cities have received all of their monies that were in the previous sales tax, and now they receive their current sales tax money immediately. So we don't hold their money anymore.
Okay.
And their monies would be bound by the intergovernmental agreement and the referendum. So they could only use those monies in association with something. They could either give the monies to y'all to use for something that was on the ballot, or have to use them for something internal that was approved in that referendum.
Okay.
That's all they could do.
All right.
That's all I have on your monthly report, unless you have something else.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Kim, on the SPLOST 6 report, that top line, the Justice Center, that the proposed distribution that was on the referendum, and that remaining balance, the 822,000.
In the negative.
And, yeah, so that's, that's not what would take you say we got like another year and a half on this round of splosh,
Right. So hopefully by the end of collections, we will have received enough to cover that. And the Justice Center, we only pay, there's a principal that's due once a year and interest payments due twice a year. So that account only gets hit twice a year. So, but because it was such a heavy hit each time, it's over $1 million for that principal payment. That's why it's running ahead of schedule, and then that obligated it represents 2 more payments. So by the end of collections, there should not be any more negative balance in that line item.
so.
But it won't pay off the loan.
But it won't
There's
pay off the
still
loan.
balance
Yeah,
left.
that's my question.
Yeah, because
balance.
the 9.5 million that was allocated was not enough to pay off the entire bonds.
Okay.
All right.
Not to drag that out any, but there'd be another payment coming in March of '23, which is really right before this expires. If the tax collects more than it should, which is what you were saying, it could be used to put towards that next payment, which wasn't anticipated to be able to occur. That would help reduce the balance more as you start to come into your next sales tax period. So that'd be good.
Good job.
It'll keep collecting money to that line item.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Good job. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
have you been in the meetings with what they want to call the freight corridor bypass or whatever? When's the last meeting that has been, that would affect us?
Hasn't been a meeting?
Well, we haven't really been having any, I mean, I sit in on monthly progress meetings on it from GDOT. GDOT's, controlling it. In fact, we've got one scheduled this week, but we have them monthly.
So, I mean, right now, there's nothing to lead you to believe, or the county engineer, that it's going to change anyway to where it's going to.
The route definitely won't change. They're actually buying property now.
Buying the right of
GDOT's
ways.
doing property acquisition. And we're trying to find some money for utility relocation on our side, but
Okay, so-
no, sir, they're buying property now.
So, as far as land acquisition, what are you paying for that with?
Well,
Or
we're
is
not,
the state paying for
the
it?
state's paying for it. The state's buying the right of way.
100%?
100%. They're buying all the right of way and doing all the construction activity.
Okay.
Okay. It's totally on them now.
Solely on them, yes, sir.
And it's on their timetable.
Well, actually, they're supposed to be finished, yes, sir, it is really, but they're supposed to be finished with property acquisition by July of next year. And then it's supposed to go to construction in their fiscal year '23, which will be July of '22. Most likely in the fall of '22,
Where's this going to drop off at?
In 94?
sir.
We started this in 94, right?
You started the concept in '94, and then, of course, history.
Well, I mean, I think we're right on time.
You know the history.
That's why I say it's their
It's
time.
gonna, Commissioner Stevens, it'll end just beyond or about equal to where the new subdivision is out there that Mr. Dryden did on 119. It comes back into the curve right there past his shop.
So it's going to come in before you get to the railroad track?
Oh, no, sir.
No, way
Way
down.
past the railroad track towards
Beyond
Riceboro.
Bakerton, beyond Bakerton.
Oh, you talking about where's it coming into 84? Or where is it?
Yeah.
Where's
Start,
it going to come back into 119 at?
yeah,
It'll
beyond
come
Bakerton.
back on past Baconton Road down there. And I've got a drawing sometime. If you want to look at it, I'll shoot it to you.
So is there any plans to do anything with the railroad track?
There'll be overpass.
Overpass?
The new one will stay open. It'll stay a gated crossing, and then there's an overpass that'll be built to come across on the new alignment.
Okay, that's what I was looking at.
That's what has taken a little bit of a while with CSX there.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question. Do we have any ambulances that are being purchased now?
We have
or
three
received
that are on order.
3 on order.
One that's supposed to be here in January that we're checking on. Other that was ordered, and then they canceled the order because of the chip and things like that and kicked it back to the next model year, so they're on order. They're putting those back in the order banks.
Okay, all right.
Is that going to cripple our fleet, or
Sir?
is that going to cripple our fleet?
Yeah, it's 3 it's because it's 3 of them in the yard down there now.
Yeah, but I don't think any of them are deadline. I mean, I think they're in there for some repair. I don't, not that I'm aware of, talking to Crystal, that we've got any major problems. We need to get them out as quick as we can, but is there anything that has quit on us or is gonna quit on us? The diesels seem to be holding up pretty good, so.
When you say they're not in, they're not in Georgia, or they're just not building them, period?
They weren't taking even any orders in the order banks. That's what we run into the enterprise thing too, is GM nor Ford were accepting any orders for any vehicles for a while. We had to take what we could find on the yards, which wasn't much. And then the order banks for GM, actually for Chevrolet opened up. GM closed theirs, they wouldn't even open them, and kicked it down the road. Ford still hadn't opened their order banks. And we've been able to put some in for some Chevrolet units. But these were Dodges. These were Dodge ambulances. And again, one of them has been ordered for a while and just they had a delay on everything.
One thing I can say about the Dodgers, we've got some good service out of them.
Yeah, we have.
Good
That was
service.
a good move to get that.
Can I go back to be patient with us, Kim? I'll just say bypass. Even though DOT has until July of next year, suppose they finish before July of next year. Does that?
No, sir, because the funds.
I'm trying to find a way.
They're gonna drag it out and get every
The
penny.
federal funds are appropriated in the 23 fiscal year. So they wouldn't be, they won't authorize a letting until 23.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. All right, I'm saying. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Kim, I noticed something else here.
Yes, sir.
If you go back to sales tax 6
Okay,
for the district money,
okay.
what happened to the money that Commissioner Wallen had contributed for Miller Park?
I can answer that, Commissioner Stevens. I've got a project over here since that's not been to bid, and it's not out, it's out for bid right now, and I need that money to put in a project that's over here in my district. So I requested to bring the money back.
Okay, so, other than that, if I hadn't have seen it here now, I guess I wouldn't have been aware of it.
Well, you may not have.
So, that's how we're gonna do business now? Because you fought to give it up in public meeting.
Right.
I think, it should have been at least announced, but like I
It's
say,
in a public meeting right now, I think.
yeah, but what I'm saying, if I hadn't have brought it up,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been noticed. Well, like I say,
Good catch.
I just happened to look down and I didn't see it.
Do I
And-
need to obligate a different project?
Do what?
No.
Do I need, no, not at this point.
Not at this point.
Okay.
I don't know what no.
Okay. I,
Still in the bank.
okay. I know I was a month behind on one of Commissioner Frazier's projects because I didn't realize that Point South and Palm Drive had already been out for bid, and I had got with Trent. Say, I didn't know.
Did you not get an email from me on that? On this?
On Point South?
On this that we've talked about?
No, sir, I got notice from Mr. Brown.
Okay.
He's the one who told me to take it off.
So I'm just,
I could not have answered your question anyway.
all right, so I guess I'm just a little guy. Found out but just remember, the Lord give and the Lord take it.
All right, any other financial questions for Ms. McLaughlin? All right. One ending question. I'm not sure how, I guess it'd be up to the commission with sales tax doing as well as it's doing. What will prevent this commission from, a year from now, making other financial obligations based on the amount of profit that we get in from the sales tax? Is there anything that would prohibit us from, as long as it's within what the referendum called for? Anything that says we couldn't pay extra payment on this or that, or?
It's up to y'all, as long as their money's
Well, as long as,
available.
the projects were specified, so you're gonna have to use it for one of those projects or for recreation.
Yeah, that
Like,
part.
one of those nebulous. things, or for more district road. Well, district road money is going to keep on getting money too. You know, but as long as it's in the referendum list,
Okay.
it's, would be
Because
fine.
there was even one project, I think, that was identified, and it came under, and it's still collecting money. The I-95 exit 76 lighting, we had originally budgeted 60,000. That only took 34,878. That project's done.
Well, yeah, we've got some outages down there, so I've got them checking on what the problems were, because they didn't replace all the wiring. They tried to fix what the contractor tore up, so, you know, I wouldn't,
Yeah, listen, I don't want,
but you're right. I mean,
don't
unless
know,
these projects are going to need some more money, right?
yeah, I don't want to be up here spending happy, but I'm just saying if we have those extra funds, a year from now, you know, we can watch it. We might want to make some adjustments.
Well,
Yep, some-
a perfect example and a good reason. I mean, I'm glad it is, because you're getting ready to bid your gym project out on the east end. And
Good example.
it very well may
Good example.
need some more money.
Okay.
Right.
Miller Park, for instance, if you know, anything in the recreation realm that you want to do there.
Do you remember, Mr. Chairman, I have one more question on that recreation. The, what was the councilman? Was he supposed to come back to us for approval? Keith? Jenkins?
He was- I think-
going back to his council.
Well, I think
do believe.
y'all said, we're in with you.
Yeah,
Move
that's
forward.
what I
And then
remember.
the last they were going to do is they're going to go put it out,
bid.
refine it and put it out for
Yeah, he was gonna-
proposals.
Yeah, and then, okay, all right, that was my understanding, I just wanted to make sure.
But we hadn't, our board hadn't said how much
How
we were
much.
gonna
That's right.
contribute to it. I
That's
mean,
correct.
We'd see what the bids were gonna be.
We had a price.
You have not, right?
And they were gonna put it out. We hadn't said that, you know, here's our contribution. We have not said that. I think we said that we would look.
Once they-
We were for the project, and we'll see what we can do to help fund it. I think that's what.
That was my understanding.
Right. 'Cause
Okay.
I surely didn't
Okay.
obligate it.
Okay.
You're okay, yeah, you're okay.
Mr. Brown,
Yes, sir.
since you mentioned the EMS, where are we at with the fire station?
I got that on my.
On your
I mean,
report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, that's good.
Short answer is, plans have been submitted for review to the agencies, to LCPC and to this, and to the building department to look at.
Okay.
And pending comments, we'll be ready to go to contract, or go to bid.
All right, so you can scratch that off your report.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Kim.
All right,
right.
thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
And Mr. Long?
Got 3 minutes.
Okay, so.
Before you begin, Trent, Joey, there's no reason for us to go into item number 2, the public, I mean, we know what we discussed.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Okay, I thought,
I'm used to just doing the reporting.
your
Yes, okay.
Your 3 minutes gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't know what the public
was my bad.
was seeing, okay.
So you received a budget amendment today. Back in September, I believe it was, you approved a lease for what we call the old Mace building, $3,500 a month. $31,500 is what it would take for the 9 months, because the lease was effective October 1st. So $31,500 would actually fund that lease. When I first put it out, you saw it, I said fund balance because I didn't realize there was some offsetting revenues possibly. I did go back and I looked at fines and forfeitures. They're tracking. Of course, it's only 3 months, so that's not a real, it's not a real long track record, but they're tracking a little over $200,000 a month, which would be more than we budgeted. That's not to say that's what it's gonna make, or other revenue line items won't need help. But if you wanted to pass the amendment and not put use of fund balance, and you wanted to gross up a revenue line item, you could do it that way. So that's why I changed it from use of fund balance to fines and forfeitures. But of course, it's up to the board to do it or not to do it, or whatever you want.
Mr. Brown, Chairman. This budget amendment, what we're looking at now is going to affect the budget next year, correct?
If you
How many
keep-
years are we looking at before we think about doing some groundbreaking?
Oh, well, you hadn't even started on a design or a concept or anything, and I would think the commission might consider a splosh, some kind of splosh for that. So to answer that question, I mean, provided splosh would pass, unless you just, I mean, you're looking at least a year, and that lease is for a year.
1 year.
Kim looked
Okay.
at that today, so it's
Right.
for a year, so probably would affect you more than 1 year, yes, sir.
Okay, so the detective is going out there or just the training officers, or you don't know?
I really don't have a good handle on that. I thought I did, and I'm not sure, but I can sure find out for you. I know the detectives are going out there and the training officer. I thought both were, but let me be sure.
And this should also, let me make sure I be careful with us, this should also take care of issue that was surrounding that department with security.
Yes. I know they're going to move evidence storage and everything out there, yes, sir.
Okay, so if they're going to move, are they going to move?
I'm not clear on that either. I asked that question, and the chief said he was going to get with me to talk to me about the plan. So
If you can't-
I'll dial him up and,
See if you can't call them up and get some
I
answers,
will,
because
okay.
we are moving out larger and more buildings. And, you know, hey, if we're doing this as a consolidation to make it better for them, then we need to, you know, let go of the other building.
okay.
Because we do have some departments around here that could use that building that's under you, under your direction.
Yes, sir.
Have they moved into that building? It looks like there's.
I don't
a little
think they have fully
construction
moved
stuff
in
going
yet. They
on.
had some demolition they had to do, pull out a lot of sinks and things because it was a medical office. So they had to pull all that out. And I think he put new carpet in for them and was doing some other things.
Yeah.
I have not been in there, to be honest with you.
They
Oh,
were
it's-
putting in fiber optic today,
Were they? Okay.
Okay.
or I guess radio
They
and.
took, Connie, they took out a bunch of the little.
Kim, when it comes to, I mean, I'm trying to remember the trail emails. You know, you're my finance person. When it comes to accounting procedures, what's the best way for us to approach this? It's, you know, we can certainly, you're right, fines and forfeitures they're there, so we can rely on those funds to make up the difference, which is fine, you know, but I want to hear from you. You're the CFO, so.
If you're asking me my opinion, I probably wouldn't amend the budget until after the first of the year.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that we're not going to, you know, we're going to pay for it.
Right.
We will charge it to that one line item. We will continue to let that one line item run in the red to see,
What's gonna happen with the funds?
well, not only that, but it's possible it could be just absorbed. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, we're only 3 months in, and so to amend your budget this early is unusual, in my opinion. And it doesn't mean that it won't have to be amended. It very well might have to be amended, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with letting that one particular line item run in the red until you get a good 6 or 8 months look to see if maybe there's savings that are achieved to cover it or not. But I've just, the 19 years I've been here, we haven't amended a budget in 3 months for something like as little as
I
$30,000.
say let it run.
Mr. Chairman, could we, just for conversation, Kim, could we just go ahead and not amend the budget, but make a motion that we use fund balance until after the first of the year? I mean, you're going to have November and December to pay, right?
Actually, we haven't paid anything yet. We're going to cut a check for the October, November rent. We got that squared away. A little confusion on how that was going to work, but we're going to square that away and we'll start paying it. And again, fund balance right now is paying for most of the bills because we don't have significant amounts of revenue coming in. So if you look at your monthly expenditures versus what your monthly revenues coming in, we're using fund balance already. So in theory, what you're saying is if we don't amend the budget, it just runs as it is.
Like
We
any
pay the rent, we charge it to that department. That one particular line item runs in the red. And then after the first of the year, February, March, you take a look at it and say, wow, are they going to need this extra 30,000, or can this be absorbed in the $12 million total?
So they may
That's the way I
not
look
need
at
it.
it.
They may not.
They may not need it.
I don't, I can't say,
Yeah,
but
we
I'm
just
just
said,
saying,
yeah.
it's pretty early in the year. That's all I'm saying. Since you asked.
Thank you, I did ask. Mr. Brown, does that take,
Yes, sir,
that take some kind of official action, we just, by consensus?
not
Okay.
at all. But I think
Way
your
it is.
motion, I think your motion earlier to pay the lease authorizes the payment anyway.
Okay, all right, it's done
Yeah,
then.
we're not going to not pay it.
Yeah, I just think that that's the best way to do it. I mean, you know, you just had a budget. You just had a budget that we approved. You got that. And let's see if we can get everything we need out of that, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, or whatever you have to do. At the end of the day, you know, what's your bottom line? And if you got that, then you can afford these things, because I know if you put more over there, more is gonna be spent. You just don't need to do that. I just don't think you need to do that. I mean, let's make it work the way it is, and then when you need help, then you call and say, okay, at that time, but not right now. That's way
It's-
too early.
That's just my experience in the practice.
Okay, thank you. I think by consensus, we're good.
Okay?
All right.
Last, I promise, what are the chances, we did really well with the digest and all that, what are the chances of getting the tax bills out earlier than last year?
So, actually, I had some correspondence with Mr. Jones today, because he had to get back with me and Ms. Roberts about a couple of forms that needed to be tweaked. And for some reason, our website expired, the advertisements expired on November 1st. So when they were reviewing the digest today, when they pulled up our website, they couldn't see it. And so I had to call Mr. Stanley and say, hey, where are those ads that were on the website?
You regenerated.
So he put them back on there, and that was okay. So we're all good on that now. And there's one more form, I think, that Mr. Jones needs to finish. And then hopefully, I'm confident this week, we'll get notice from Department of Revenue that we're good to go. And then it's just up to Mr. Jones and his vendor.
his vendor.
So I would love to say that, yes, within the next 2 weeks, I would hope that maybe tax bills could be generated, but that's not my area.
I understand.
I just know that that's kind of how we're progressing, and I would love to see by the, middle of the month,
Oh, I
the
would
tax
too.
bills go out,
Would
yes.
too. We would.
I mean, this was the earliest I can ever remember adopting the millage. Like, I don't remember ever adopting it in October, so
Let the record show.
I'm telling you. So I think we're in good shape.
Good job, Commissioners, good job, good job. Thank you, we look forward to
Ms.
that.
Kim,
Okay.
I can say you're doing real well after surviving Saturday. Okay?
Nobody calls me when we win. Like, nobody calls me when we win. But my phone, ooh,
Big on you.
I went to bed about 7:30. Went to bed.
Thank you, Kim.
All right.
Come on, Mr. Long.
All right, now you got 5 minutes. Got 5 minutes now.
Mr. Long, tonight you're going to be Mr. Short.
That's exactly what I'm trying to be. I'm in favor of that.
That's a good one, Eddie.
All right, so at the last meeting, we talked about the LMIG report, what we were trying to put in. Commissioner Jones asked me to change from Pate Rogers Road to Limerick Road. We had Pate Rogers Road on it because our inventory list showed it as in worse condition than Limerick, but Limerick is in bad condition, and it does have much more traffic. So we went back, did an evaluation of what we need to do with Limerick Road. We did do a widening in Limerick Road years ago, but it was never overlaid, so you ride down the road and you got the seam that you see going down the road. So do want to go ahead and take care of that. We added that to the list for Limerick Road. So this kind of makes our project report complete with what Commissioner Jones wanted to have on there. So what I'd like to do is get the board's commission to submit this to DOT for our LMIG funds. We'll get a little less than $400,000, like 394.
This is going to where?
We submit this to the Department of Transportation. This is for our LMIG funds.
Right.
And what they'll do is they'll review the list, and then they'll send us a check, and we have 3 years to spend it.
And we're gonna be doing, how many roads out of this? Just one?
I've got these 5 things on here. Bill
What
Carter
are
Road.
they? Again?
Bill Carter Road.
Bill Carter.
second
County line.
And we've got County Line Road, doing some asphalt repair and maintenance. Just a section of County Line Road, not the whole thing. South Dairy Road and Ray Road. The little roads we're repairing around the convenience center, the solid waste convenience center, trying to get a little bit of funds to help us with the convenience center. West 15th Street, just striping. Doing thermoplastic on that road, and then Limerick Road at the request of Maxie Jones.
And he's aware he may have to go into his T-Splosh funds.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this far exceeds the amount that we're getting. from the
Yes.
state, and it far exceeds the,
I think we said we were gonna just divvy it up.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Chair, entertain a motion to submit the application.
Chair, I make a motion that we send Commissioner Gillett.
No, I was just.
What are you up to?
No, I was just reminding you that I gave up everything that I had for you, you know. 'cause-
Yeah, but look, wait a minute. You gave it up, but don't come back and take it back.
No, I'm not.
I gave up all I had to.
Don't come back and take it back.
All I had, I gave
I'd rather you keep it from the get-go. But anyway.
Okay.
I make a motion that we allow Mr. Trent Lowndes to send this as an application to DOT.
DOT.
They'll make request money.
Second.
Motion is second. We approve the application as presented from Mr. Long, our county engineer, realizing when there's not enough funds here by request to cover all these, so we have to make up the difference.
Yes, sir.
If we should decide to move on. Any further discussion?
Just a question for Mr. Long. I want, like, the only road on here that we're gonna do the full depth reclamation on is Bill Carter.
Yes, sir. And we were already in the process of designing that road already.
Right.
We've got our design from Whitaker Laboratories on the recommended full depth reclamation.
Okay.
Because of the traffic load, because it gets kind of as a little cut-through road. We'll get
Yeah.
quite a few cars on there.
It's gonna increase.
Here lately, we've been getting almost 1,500 cars a day on it, which is a pretty decent amount.
How many?
for a road. 1,500.
Well, you
I
know,
noticed you had a traffic counter out there the other day, but it looked like one of the lines got
It did,
shoved to the one side of the road, but anyway.
it did.
along with that, that's where, Mr. Wheeler
Yes,
is gonna put his new subdivision too.
yes, sir.
So you're looking at more traffic.
More traffic.
There could be a road, a decel or a turn lane going into wherever he's at, right?
Yes, sir.
How much right of way is there, 80 foot? Or
I
100?
think it's 80. I think it's 80. You had to put me on the spot. I usually know those, but it's 80 or 100, but I think it's
don't
80.
expect you to know at all. I just was trying to have some idea.
All right,
That's all I just, that's a 1,500, that's probably log trucks and all too.
Yes, sir.
Well, like you talk about down Bill Carter? Commissioner Wall, you talking about log
Yeah,
trucks on Bill Carter?
And you're gonna be adding, I don't know how many lots was on there, but
There's,
seemed to me like there was 300 homes, so everybody's gonna have 2 cars.
yeah,
That's it, that's okay, go ahead on. You're headed in the right direction.
All right, all in favor? Application. All right, thanks, sir.
I'll probably need to get with the chairman to sign a few things probably Thursday.
Your staff knows how to reach me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You, sir.
Mr. Stevens, I don't have to pay a toll when I come down there now, do I?
Well, I don't know, as much as you and Commissioner Wallen stay down there, y'all might need that, when y'all cross the mountain.
Okay,
Because I can't charge him because he's got to go check on his farm.
Mr.
okay,
Gandhi, we're ready, sir.
okay. All right.
I have 2 items for y'all tonight. We're doing well.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so our first item is a conditional use petition. This was submitted by Miss Melissa Blunt, who is right here in the audience with us, on behalf of John Stoddard III, owner, for a conditional use to operate a private school. This property is located at 624 Freedman Grove Road and is further described as parcel 208053. The building is currently being used as a church, and it will continue to operate as one. And this parcel is located in District 4. This is the Grace Point Worship Center. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. It's on Freedman Grove. I'll show you on the map.
Near the park, kind of, sort of?
Yeah, a little bit past there.
Is this a public hearing issue?
Yes, this will be a public hearing as well.
Oh,
Conditional
Chairman, I
use.
make a motion, we go into public hearing.
Sure it is.
second.
Second.
Mr. Brown said not necessarily, but.
I'm
we
not
do.
sure conditional use qualifies as a public hearing item. I think the rezoning is the only thing required under law.
Oh, we usually do it to be safe with the other cities, so I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, just whatever you want.
Motion, let's just vote. All right.
All right, so here's
But
what
let's get a clarification on that. I'd like to know, though.
I'll double check with
I
Kelly, but
get
I'm
confused too.
almost sure. The rezoning is the only thing required by law.
Okay.
It's not anything in your ordinance that says
Okay.
you have to do those under public hearing, and I'm aware.
The
of.
cities may
We can
have a
check.
different ordinance?
Jeff and I'll double check.
Cities may have a different ordinance?
They may.
Yeah, they may.
Okay.
You have to look at it. All right, so this is Leroy Kofa right here. Here's Freedman Grove. If you turn onto here, go down a bit, it'd be on your left. A little bit closer look at the actual property. You come in right here is the access point on Freedman Grove here. You can see the front part is zoned AR1. It's part of that AR1 corridor. Back is A1. Both of these zones allow the same uses, so it's not really an issue for this. So I have a couple pictures here to kind of orient you around the property. So when you come in here, here's the building, of course. There are two handicap paved spots right here by themselves. Churches are allowed for a condition to have unpaved parking, so they do have unpaved parking across the way here for their regular church attendees. Here's another view from the building, and there's a walkway, of course, which is required by ADA standards, so they're all good on that. Here's the back of the building. I believe this area somewhere is going to have a fenced-in area to be a playground. Ms. Blunt can probably give you more info on that. Here's some photos of the inside. These rooms are going to be, they're going to have some of those little dividers and be kind of turned into smaller classrooms. I believe these will be pretty small class sizes too. They want to do more individual kind of one-on-one work with the students. So here's their narrative, just some relevant parts. I would like to use our existing church building, Grace Point Worship Center, to house our students for learning. There will be no new construction taking place. Our church is located at 624 Freedman Grove Road. They want to use what classrooms we already have and incorporating our fellowship hall as well. The kitchen will not be used for cooking or to serve hot prepared meals. We will plan for children to bring their lunches. So they are, let's see, I think that's, you know, they're covering all the basics in education, of course, and Ms. Blunt is a certified educator. Let's see, we are looking to accommodate up to approximately 50 children to begin with grades preschool to 5th grade. And they would plan to enlarge in the future, you know, upon success of this first endeavor. And I believe that's probably all that's relevant here. I'll show you a little bit of the floor plan. So this is the front area right here. These will be used as classrooms, of course, and then this is the fellowship hall, which would also be divided up and used for assemblies and teaching as well. So our conditional use requirements, it shall not adversely affect the economic value or physical appearance of the neighborhood. This narrative indicates there will be no physical changes to the building at the present, but a paved driveway and parking spots will be added, and it would not adversely affect the economic value. Just to explain quickly, as it is a church right now, churches don't require paved parking, but schools do. And so it's 1 per 17 students, I believe, and with starting with 50 students, that basically comes out to having 3 paved parking spots. So they will be creating an access, paved access from the road up to the parking spots with 3 paved parking spots as required per ordinance, in addition to the 2 handicap ones that are already there. So there'll be 5 total. So the physical and environmental effects of allowing the conditional use shall be considered. We did not see any detriments there. Buffer zones where necessary to shield adverse factors shall be considered. No buffers are required for this, but a designated outdoor play area for children will be surrounded by a chain link fence, just wanted to mention. And as I said, for parking, landscaping, building, et cetera, the parking ordinance requires one paved parking spot per 17 children for schools. So the applicant will be paving the drive to the parking lot and create 3 new spaces in addition to the existing 2. So LCPC is recommending approval for this conditional use.
Mr. Chairman,
Question.
yes, I just had a question. We're just approving for conditional use of the property, including the building, or that's all in one inclusive?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So in your ordinance, a church is permitted by right in an AR1 and A1 zone, which is where it is right now. But schools are allowed as a conditional use. So this property would just carry that conditional use with it, and that building would be allowed to be used as a private school in the future as well. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, and maybe Ms. Blunt may, if she can come to the podium.
absolutely, Ms. Blunt.
Just a minute.
Give us your name, Ms. Blunt, for the matter of record, please, ma'am.
Yes, I'm Melissa Blunt.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was just thinking, do you have to go through the state regulations or anything for approval to,
No,
or
ma'am,
just?
it's because it's considered a Christian school. We don't have to do anything like that unless we do, where we're going to have to go beyond the 5th grade, where you want to have classes that have to be ready and prepared for college. You do supposed to have someone that can run the school with a master's degree. We do have that in order. We do have certified teachers that are ready to teach our students. So we're blessed with that.
Okay.
When do you expect to open up if everything goes?
We're hoping to, our project date is August, permitting everything goes well.
Ms. Thrift, okay, I think I understand your question. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, no, please, thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah, this license you're granting here for the conditional use doesn't supersede any state requirements for what's required of a school. So, they would still need to meet all state requirements for that.
Okay, all right.
But now you got me curious, but that would not be a county liability of any sorts? No.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sprinkler systems, is that required or not required? Just out of curiosity. I'm not trying to make you work
I'm not,
hard or trying to make you spend any extra money.
Not that I'm aware. We do have fire, exit signs. We have our exits for in case there's a fire. We have all that already posted. Just general. I'm not aware of the sprinkler.
I'm not sure. That would probably be a question for the building department or, I don't know.
Yeah, I think over so many
think-
people in the building, it has to have a sprinkler, over
Mr. Brown.
250
I
or
believe it is
something.
over so many people.
Yeah,
In
I think that's
general.
when we build
but
our
if it's going to
church.
be I'm
Sanctuary.
gonna say no, I don't think so.
Right.
Mr. Brown, Chair, could you double check that to make sure, check with our fire chief to see what is actually called for, to make sure we're safe, that's all.
Will do.
Is that for exit signs, Commissioner Thrift?
No, for the
No, Sprinkler system.
sprinkler systems
Have
and
so
whatever
many
else is
people in
needed.
the- In
I mean, I
the
would think,
sanctuary.
I may be wrong, but there's
think
probably
it's
more people
250.
there on a Sunday morning than they are during the school.
Exactly, right,
So
right.
I
I
wouldn't
don't
think they
think,
would have to have one.
I don't either. I really don't.
But let's check to make sure that we're right, that's all.
Now, Mr. Gunner, this wouldn't have required you to send out any notices to the surrounding neighbors?
We did. We sent out all of our zoning actions, regardless of the rezoning, conditional use, whatever. We sent out everyone who owns property within 200 feet of this. We got no calls one way or the other.
Okay. All right. Ms. Blunt, anything else you want to say about your project?
No, we're just excited and ready to be able to give our community some really grounded educational tools and just that we feel that this is the day and time that we need it.
Can't have enough.
You say you want it to be open by when?
August.
Hopefully, our August is our projected date. We've really been working hard and trying to be prepared and get ready for it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm real familiar with Ms. Blunt and her family, and I'm sure Commissioner Jones would be in support of this. Known them for a good long while, so.
Yeah.
and probably should attend their church, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to get us off track, but the name Gordon Blunt sticks with me. Is that,
That would be my husband's family.
okay?
That- Yes,
All right, okay. Yeah, for a long
that would
time.
be my uncle.
All right, somebody got to stand in the gap for Commissioner.
I'll do it, and I'm charging him every time I have to stand in the gap for him. But, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we grant approval for conditional use 2021-56 with standard conditions.
Second.
Motion and second, we approve the presentation as presented by LCPC for the conditional use for this school for third to fifth grade.
Great.
And to start in August. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right,
Thank you so much.
all right, ring the bells. Ring the bells.
We can just, Mr. Chairman, since y'all did go into public hearing, if you.
Come out, Chair,
Yes,
entertain a
if
motion
you
to come
don't
out of public hearing.
I move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? All right, back in the regular session. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I have one more item for you, which is the Tradeport West EMS facility gateway design review. So this is the new EMS facility that is going to be on South Coastal Highway, just south of Midway. This is in the gateway design review corridor, so the aesthetics of the project as well as the site plan have to be looked at and approved by your gateway design board, the shared board between Liberty County, Midway, and Riceboro. So they were able to meet on October 25th and come to a conclusion on this and review on your behalf. So this is the location of the site. We're going to be down here. So here's Midway, of course, 84 and 17 meet here. Come down this way. Here is the site plan. So you can kind of see some of the improvements they're going to be doing here. The parking lot, of course, the access as well here, and the building in the center. I've got a few pictures of the elevations and such too.
Mr. Chairman, can I make it easy for him? The architect came and presented the plan to them before it went forward to you.
He
Oh,
did.
okay.
They've seen the video walkthrough.
Oh, okay,
The
great.
outside and the inside and
Okay.
the colors and
Well,
so.
only point I will say is that the design review board had just pointed out that they would like for these bay doors to be almond colored rather than stark white, and they agreed to that. So that is the only note they had and voted on approval.
Wow. Okay.
There was a couple other notes, and maybe I can answer them. I saw the notes that came back from Brandon, and I shot those back, if you don't mind. But the almond door was one thing, which is certainly makes sense. The other was a question about the signage.
Sidewalks. That's a
Well, signage, and the signage, since it's an interior tenant to the Tradeport West Park, we're not sure whether they want a main sign out front, and then we'd have a building sign, so we got to determine that. They asked about a flagpole. That's generally something we provide and stand up outside the contract. We want to talk to Development Authority about that too, though. Make sure we don't take away from that. And then I believe there was a request by the board to give a variance on the sidewalk requirements, since they would really lead nowhere at this point, to put them in. But we certainly would entertain later on putting some in if necessary.
Yes, sir. I took the liberty of measuring it out, and I believe they're about 2,000 feet from the nearest sidewalk to connect to, so.
Okay,
Variance.
so what do you need from us?
Just to grant approval of this with the, waiver that they would not need to make a sidewalk at this time.
What was the question about the flagpole?
They were questioning why there wasn't a flagpole in the
Oh,
design.
why there wasn't? Oh, at the fire department?
There is not one here, but
EMS, okay.
Joey was saying that they generally will add that later in.
Okay.
Okay,
Why does the government building not have a flagpole?
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor to include Commissioner Walden, with raise your hand in support. All right.
You could have raised my hand, the lights came on.
Moses?
Sorry, I didn't mean to, I
No,
just
no,
didn't
thank
want to
you.
see you have to go through all that with,
Yeah, we did see it.
And
But you were doing well, though.
Yeah. Oh,
yes, he
thank you.
was.
One additional comment, actually. So they do have one sign right now, just as a wall sign. It'll be like actually on the wall of the building. They just don't have any exterior signs on their design at the moment.
Okay. Okay.
I also wanted to make a note to y'all that our design review board is not anywhere near like full of as many members as it should have. In fact, we barely have enough to meet a quorum if everybody shows up. So I would like for, if possible, y'all to select somebody to serve as a design representative for y'all, a design expert. That could be anyone who has experience in like architecture, landscape architecture, engineering, something like that. But Midway is using Marty, our engineer, as their design representative. But if y'all are able to come up with somebody and perhaps get that ready to appoint at the next meeting, that would be really beneficial to expediting these kinds of projects.
You wanted us to get someone from the commission or someone?
Oh,
from
no,
the
just
community?
anybody in the county who you feel has the design expertise to represent your interests.
What's the,
I think Trent-
is it like our other committee appointments, or is it something different?
It's really more my line of expertise. I mean, you could, but, I mean, certainly whatever y'all want to do with that.
Is
Yeah.
somebody who have a tenure on, not necessarily.
Well, what the ordinance says is somebody in the fields of landscaping, architecture, or engineering. So basically somebody in that area with some experience in that field should be fine.
And who's on it now?
Representing y'all, you only have one member for Liberty County, which is Claude Dryden. He's serving as your citizen representative.
Who are the others, if we may ask?
So from Midway, they're actually appointing Mr. Curtis Roberts at Midway next week. And then Marty is, of course, serving for them. And then Paul
on
Zeckman
this-
is on the
right
board
here,
by
yeah.
default, as well as Jeff.
Oh,
Here, there. They're on this sheet right here.
Okay, I
that's
see.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there they are.
Landscape, engineering, what's the other, the third?
Architecture. Yeah, design professional.
Trent, you
We'll have
want
to
it?
come up with somebody.
Trent right
Well,
there.
yeah, I think the only thing we got to be careful of is you reviewing
Conflict
our
of
projects.
interest?
Yeah.
So,
You try to
But
find a,
a lot of them
How
are.
about your
our
buddy
projects.
that used to work, what's his name?
Oh,
where,
Sack. He all right? Is he a pretty good engineer? Marcus Sack? Can he do it? Will that be a conflict, or is Trent gonna do it?
yeah, he's
I
on,
mean, I think either one can do it. It's just, we don't have,
conflict.
he just wouldn't be able to comment on our projects is all.
we need somebody with that kind of background.
Marcus is on.
Well, just like Marcus wouldn't be able to comment on Midway's,
Development Authority.
you know.
Let's give it some thought.
How about,
Let's give it some thought. Okay,
How many do you need?
this
We
morning.
need one more person from y'all. And
we need somebody
vice
that cuts grass. Who cuts grass?
Hold it out to them.
While he's here, could I ask one more thing, please? And this was a question that came to us. They're in the process of developing a food truck ordinance. That's something we don't have in the county.
We don't
and
have it?
Not that we've had a lot of clamors for it.
It's coming.
Clamoring for it, but it might be
It's
coming.
coming.
Is it okay if they at least bring us a draft to look at? Not that you've got to do anything, but just while they're drafting, I know they had asked me that question,
And
and
a little something to eat there with it.
We're putting together the ordinance right now for Hinesville and Walterville, so we figured that y'all might be
Come
interested
on,
in,
yeah.
looking at it as
I
well.
was in the office one day when someone was asking a lot of questions, and boy, it was. a
Yeah,
bit-
yes, sir, you were there with us.
It was
yeah.
a bit,
We're having about 1 or 2 people a week come in and
Yeah,
ask.
it's really ramping up.
getting really big now. Mhm. Okay, yeah. While you gentlemen here, I thought about in the absence of Commissioner Maxie Jones, because we stand in for him, but if you all could ask the petitioners, like Ms. Blunt, to contact their commissioner, so therefore he would have had a heads up on that.
Okay.
If y'all can, not mandatory, but if you can think about that, as petitioner to contact their commissioner, so the commissioner would be abreast of it before it gets here.
Okay.
Then Commissioner Jones could have just said, hey, I talked to Ms. Blunt, I'm fine with it.
Okay, I understand. Yes, sir.
Okay? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. American Rescue Plan Act. Getting to the good stuff.
so Clint's gonna drive, Kim's gonna lead, and the committee members are here. And as you're aware, the board appointed an
gentlemen.
initial committee to at least put a draft together. So at the big head of this, you'll see draft, because I don't want to speak for the committee, but it was echoed that they were sure that when it got here, that the whole board would want input on
said it over and
whatever's
over
in there.
again.
So
Who's gonna leave?
Kim's gonna lead through.
I'll start, and
We'll
so
help.
there's, I don't know, there's 7 categories, and the committee looked at all the categories, and they found pieces in several of the categories where they wanted to put some funding in, but didn't necessarily have exact plans on who that would go to. For instance, that first one up there, y'all can hear me, can't you?
Yes.
That first one up there, the 150,000 employee vaccine incentive payment.
Kim, say he can't,
Oh, you can't, I'm sorry.
the people can't.
So, that's just something we put in there. We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it in 2022, but it's monies that were there in case you want to do something to incentivize employees to get the vaccine. The Schumann Testing Center, we already did that one time, and we stood up a vaccination center. Is that right? A testing vaccination center at the Schumann?
We did. In fact, we didn't stand it up, but we paid for the tent.
I'm sorry.
Private company. That's winding down, but there was an allocation there in case we need it again. Remember, this money's got to carry you through 2026, really.
Right.
So in case we have to, the committee felt like we ought to put a little bit of money there.
And then there were some areas, for instance, prevention in congregate settings. And so there were things that we pulled off of your CIP, capital things that were already on your CIP 5-year plan. And some of those, for instance, were the jail cell bars, of course, the countywide server replacement that is dreadfully needed. The boardroom renovation, the AV and the sounding here, so that we don't have to use 2 cell phones and where it goes out all the time, to where we can truly have a real professional, I guess, sound system and audio visual, like normal, I guess, not just makeshift that we've been doing. And it's been working. I appreciate our IT guys, but I'm sure they would prefer something better than just 2 cell phones and a laptop.
They would.
Let's see, we were looking at possibly converting to ADP and using some money for that. We've been, we've been hammered in finance, and we're struggling to keep up, and then also provide more employee access to information and more efficiencies in both payroll and timekeeping. So we were looking at possibly doing, converting over to ADP.
So let me wrap that for you. In that category, you're looking for things that, like separation of inmates was allowed. That's how the cell bars, we were able to pull it out. We just didn't go to the capital and say, what can we just throw in there? There had to be certain things under those Treasury guidelines you could use that money for. So separation of inmates, like they had to do, those that were COVID versus non-COVID, the ones that have been tested, waiting on tests, not. They had to go through a lot of separation there, but it just so happens that money would qualify for that, and you wouldn't have to come out of the tax base for it. Same thing with, things you had to do to be able to distribute information to people without direct contact, i.e. server gets pulled in and that dissemination of that. Same thing with board and AV, you shut down the meeting, so so that was in there, we're able to pull that in. In ADP, yes, it's efficient, but it definitely is needed. This limits the contact the employees have to make, so it's eligible to pull in there. So again, that section under that prevention is how you limit contact, how you do separation, and that's the reason we're able to pull those things only out. Many more in the CIP, obviously.
Right. And if you go on down, no, I appreciate it. So if you go on down to 1.7, you can see capital investments or physical plant changes that respond to COVID. So the ARPA guidelines specifically talked about ventilation systems, very, very specific. So we took several things that were on your CIP, the annex improvements, the senior center, health department, justice center, all the HVAC systems and ventilation systems that need to be replaced or updated. And then we looked at 3 big things, 3 heavy hitters. Contributions to a new health department building. I don't believe we have that full cost yet, but the committee identified to put $2 million of ARPA funds towards that new health department building that is sorely needed.
Thank you.
Then 1.5 million towards the new fire station and $1 million towards the EMS station. And again, those are all in response to those physical plant changes in response to the COVID-19. So again, these were just amounts. The can be discussed and changed, moved out to what year might be appropriate, during that time.
Some of these expenditures will help offset the use of general funds.
Exactly,
And those
exactly. A
costs.
lot of this, it does replace the use of general fund, and it might also help reduce the burden on the next sales tax round that people are going to be fighting
Trash
for
those
projects.
Trash those dollars.
And
Yes.
the other improvements, just like the prior category, annex those are all things that you have already adopted in your capital improvement program that we're waiting for funding.
Right.
And these funds can be used for those too.
Right. And again, equipment for specific EMS equipment in response to COVID-19. Scrolling down. Okay, so here in category number 2, negative economic impacts, this is where the committee identified to put $200,000 in total for small businesses and $50,000 in total for aid to nonprofits that would meet certain criteria, whatever the board determined, how that application process and award process would go. But all in total, about $250,000 would be earmarked for that process.
One quick note there on the process the committee looked at, and you'll see this later on, is in order to distribute that money to those folks, there's got to be a screening process with income attached as well as financial record keeping. And so we've contacted United Way of Coastal Georgia, who does it for the city of Savannah, as a matter of fact, and they would charge an administrative fee, pretty modest to do that, but they've already got it all built, and the city of Savannah seems very, very pleased on a larger magnitude using them, so feel pretty good about that.
Joey, Kim,
Yes,
Chairman. We didn't put an amount, a cap amount with each,
No, we have no details. We just
no.
earmarked
Okay.
some funding.
Right.
Kind of like what you did for the premium pay. You said 10%.
Right, okay.
So, that's what we did.
But, and I, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and the nonprofits would be 501c3.
You've got to set those criteria, the board does. We didn't get into what the criteria were, who would qualify, who wouldn't, other than we know under Treasury guidelines, there's got to be financial record keeping proof. You would decide what the max is, who would be allowable. Now, I will tell you the Treasury guidelines, without, again, getting too deep into it, is that, I think we said this before, they have to be someone who lost income that they use for operations. So it's not just folks that raise money and gave out scholarships. That wouldn't
Right,
qualify.
right.
They got to be a business. And so they'd have to operate a business and have financial record keeping for that business, show profit and loss for the business.
Well, and I think, we do something on a much smaller scale where the funds that we give to, like, the Frazier Center. They give us the requests, and there's a paper trail, and we have all of that in place. Now this would probably be a lot more detail, but a 501c3 organization that meets the criteria, as opposed to, let's say, a civic organization that's not designated 501c3, or a social club that's not designated 501c3.
Or a 501c3 that doesn't do
Right.
keeping.
Yeah.
That
Right.
doesn't have a financial, they got to be able to prove the loss over the last couple of years and then track it going forward. We have to maintain that documentation.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question. I know this is over, was it 6 years? Do we draw down as we need, or do you draw it all down? at
So
once?
we got 50% right up front.
We
So
got- already got 50.
$5.9 million sitting in the bank
Okay, all right.
right now. And then as we spend it, there's going to be a quarterly reporting required to submit on what we've been using. And there's very specific criteria on how that's going to be done.
Well, overall,
Very good note there. There is nothing specific about the year that it was put in, other than what we'll talk about on a premium pay that we'd like to go ahead and get out to the folks who qualify.
Right.
Simply from a logistics standpoint, but what year the commission puts some of these in, they will move. It'll be
Yeah.
about like your CIP.
Right,
Especially as we start talking about the recreation stuff that's eligible,
right.
the outdoor recreation stuff that's eligible.
Right. So then, the committee wanted to put some money in education assistance, early learning, and education assistance academic services. This was kind of, I'm not really sure, maybe the chairman can talk about this, because I know this was kind of a last minute, like, one of the last things we did add, but we did want to earmark some money for that.
So we talked about Head Start.
And we
Head
talked about a
Start.
couple of things.
And after-school program.
And after-school programs, that's correct. And then you see down on 3.9, it says healthy childhood environments. And so we talked about outdoor recreation facilities. So, you know, your walking trails, any fitness equipment, fishing pier. Again, these were just ideas that were thrown out. Some of these were on your CIP and some, you know, we just considered. So again, there's just specific monies allocated, but it doesn't have to be for those specific projects. Those were just some ideas under the recreation. And those can change,
These-
add, subtract.
All with the exception of fishing pier, the others are on your CIP.
Right.
We pull those directly off. The fishing pier is the land that thought the committee had. We bought the piece of land down at Cattle Hammock a while back, and we've had some talks with DNR about going in and doing a design on that and using it as a fishing pier. And that was money to be able to possibly.
Maybe do the design.
And some match from our.
And some match, yeah, because when we talk about the passive outdoor recreation facility, a fishing pier would be used by a lot of people.
It's a good place to use some of those funds for outside.
It is. It really is, and it does ease some of the burden on the sales tax monies for recreation. Every year, they'll spend as much money as we give them, you know, because there are so many opportunities.
And they spend wisely, too.
Yes, yes, and I think we have great parks.
Kim,
Yes, sir.
go back to your recreation up there. Since we got Jones Creek and the restroom at 400, when we look at this again, let's see if we can change that and drop in Miller Park and kind of like split the money with Jones Creek and Miller Park.
And again, none of those are set in.
None, it's not, nothing's
It's
set
all
in stone. I'm
draft.
just making that
This is-
suggestion.
This is
Right.
available. And what we're hoping is that you'll take this and over the next 2 weeks, kind of make some suggestions or tweak it as you like. And then when we come back before you in your mid-month, you could bless it and adopt it.
Right.
Again, it doesn't have to, even though you adopt it, it can still be
Change.
changed,
Yeah.
just like your
Right.
CIP. It's a living document that
Fluid,
changes,
yeah,
yes,
be
it
very
completely.
I wanna do.
Kim, since we're going, go to 1.7 now, and I think I know, I just need just a little clarification.
Okay.
Number 5, that's a fancy name for the jail?
It is.
Okay.
What was that?
Adult
Those are-
correctional
those are
facility.
3 ventilation systems that all but are dead there in that old section that you are going to have to replace. And instead of coming out of the general fund, we thought it'd be better.
Right, because there is no sales tax money.
Yeah, well, I've never heard it identified as that. I went out there the other day, and it was nothing but grown men in there, so I figured, you know, it's just another place that
Joey, that particular item there that Commissioner Giller just talked about, was there anybody in that during COVID?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
So you're basically talking about retrofitting the whole thing with bars? I mean, different bars, or?
Well, I think the 75 here, I put my glasses back on. I think the 75, there were 2 things. I think this one was the heating and air system.
Yeah,
For there,
that's what
and then
that
the
is.
bars were it was to retrofit a section that didn't have bars. That's
Okay. Can you go on to number 4? Okay. Number 4, the premium pay. This was a dollar amount. The committee said, let's set aside 10%. And then come up with a plan, a scale of how we're going to distribute some premium pay and talk about who's eligible, how that'll work. Again, the ARPA guidelines are real strong about compensating your lower paid essential employees who come to work and perform their duties in this environment, and they want you to concentrate heavily on those lower
Paid
paid
positions.
employees, yes.
Yeah, so let me take it one step further. So pay was one thing. It was concentrated on those employees who had the most exposure to the COVID virus, which generally were your lower paid employees. So that's how they got to the lower paid employees, but it was sanitation workers, janitors, folks that touched that material, and had to handle it. That's how it got to that low driver.
And that's in a narrative that says that.
Yes, yes.
Well, you know, and I know all of us, we've talked about it before we got to this point, and I appreciate the committee, you know, for their hard work and meeting to do this, but in addition, everyone knows how I feel about that because of our hardworking guys that didn't miss a beat throughout this pandemic, and this is the beginning of probably the 19th month. So I mean, you figure that 8 months, but 10 months last year, well 10 months so far this year and 8 months last year. That's 18 months, and they're gonna wake up in the morning and they're going out there and do the same thing again tomorrow. And if we can do anything to give them a more decent, livable wage, I really and truly think we should do that. Now, you know, we got them classified as sanitation, and it's just flat out blue collar workers that's out there every day. That's going to get in a pickup truck or dump truck, and they're going to go out and they're going to maintain.
They're gonna roll up their sleeves and they're gonna get it
this
done.
county, and hadn't missed a beat. And as far as I know, you know, I know a lot of those guys. I don't know how many of them may have had to miss time because of the virus or what have you. But I do know that, if I'm talking to Clinton, you know, who Clinton and I have the same job, that it's tough work, even when it's not a pandemic. And if we can do something to bring them up and increase their pay, because those guys are going to be there with us when the pandemic is gone. I mean, they've been with us before, during, and they'll be there after. And if we can help them, we really need to help them.
Do.
And that's just an estimated dollar figure, right?
Well, no, actually, we need to go ahead into that detail a little bit with you, so we can see that. It's easier to explain with the detail up there, because through everything that we just talked about where Treasury's guidance were, the committee looked at 3 tiers of premium pay, with the lower tier being more than any of the other tiers, and then it's scaled back on that tier. And I think Kim's gonna have to confirm this. So we're listening to carefully to the $15 minimum. And of course, we've talked about doing that and putting it on permanently, and we're gonna get, we've talked to UGA, in fact, City of Savannah, Mr. Mosley was able to talk to their HR director today, how they're gonna do that, because they've got a pay plan too, governmental pay plan. And so as they implement that thing, it's very important not to get out of sync with the pay plan. So what you most likely see is a heavier hit in that pay plan at the bottom, not as much of a hit in the middle, and even less of a hit at the top, right? Because what you're trying to do is really bring the lower ones up, but you can't throw the disparity out of the pay plan. And so we're gonna work through that with UGA, but the dollar amount that is suggested here to get us until that pay plan is done, whether you make it permanent or not, would make up that difference.
For this fiscal year.
For this fiscal year. So it makes them whole for this past fiscal year, and then you can make the decision whether you want to, and I know you do, keep, bring all those things up to 15, make them permanent, fund them either with some more ARPA money, or portions of ARPA money probably, and portions of general fund, because the other thing you got to be careful of is using the ARPA money to fund a certain amount over a certain limit with ARPA. So you could only hit the lower ones with the ARPA funds. And that's what Savannah's got to work through on theirs, too, with their pay plan. So we know that's the goal. Main reason I just bring that up is to say, this dollar amount, we started with the dollar amount that made them whole plus some.
Okay.
for this year.
But Joey, a young man finished high school and he comes to work as an entry-level laborer at the road department. What's that pay? Do you know right off the top?
I don't.
It's, if you'll go all the way up, Clint.
And I hate to, that we got the names in here.
Probably 1378 would be my guess.
Okay,
Probably right here.
okay.
No. Right up there.
So,
So-
yeah, let her explain it. I want to point out one other thing before we finish. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so the way that I broke this out, because I had to work within the 10%, is I tried to first look at everybody who made less than $15 an hour. If you made less than $15 an hour, that was going to be your first bucket, would be the 4,000. If you scroll on down, Clint, then your next bucket would be from 15 to 1999. That would be your next bucket. Scroll on down, then you're going to be from your 20 to, I think, 25. If you that, and then anybody over 25 would be your final bucket. So Clint, if you go back down to right there. So you see here where I calculated it, you're going to have, and again, I ran this back in September, so the employee mix might change a little bit for people who have left and all, but when I did this, there was about 43 people who were less than $15, eligible employees, less than $15, and then 168 employees between 15 and 1999, 94 employees between 20 and 25, and 70 employees over $25. So, and then there was a group of employees who do not qualify because ARPA is very clear. If they did not report to work, if they did not come to work, if they work from home, they are not eligible. So we did have some departments who work from home, and they're not eligible.
Not eligible.
So in this one, you've got 375 full-time employees, and then if you'll go to that part-time, the second tab, yeah, that one right there. Then you've got another 86 part-time, permanent part-time, like your kennel cleaners or your convenience center workers. Those are your permanent, not your seasonal part-time, but your permanent part-time workers who would be awarded too. And then we also identified some workers for, some funds for the poll workers.
Poll workers.
So altogether, we're trying to stay within that 10% that the committee wanted us to stay in, and those were the buckets that we identified that would come as close as we could get to actually changing their rate this year, at least make them whole, and then hopefully July, we'll have that study back and we'll have our salary done, and we can start from there with the 15.
And Ms. Kim,
You can use part of the ARPA money for that if you wanted to in the first year.
Yeah.
Or carry it all in the general fund. I mean, it's totally up to the commission what they want to do.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we left some funds there for emergency?
Well, yeah, we're not done
We gotta
yet,
finish.
so,
Can I-
Oh, okay.
Well, let me show you one more thing. Quick, go back to that slide, please, and go all the way to the first tab that you had, and go all the way to the very beginning again.
all the way up, you're all the way down in 600, go all the way up.
So the other thing, Commissioner Gayer, that'll happen
Yeah.
is it gives us time to finish the fire and EMS study too. Because these folks are, we've just gotten some reports back on these fire service people from UGA. They're wrapping that up now. Mr. Mosley and Ms. Troutman and I looked at it along with EMS. Those will probably be adjusted during this year. So this will look different by the time you look at your $15 carry forward.
Right.
When are you planning on wrapping that up?
We're looking at the finals now, probably in the next 30 days.
Well, you need to catch Georgia while they're winning.
Kim,
They'll have a change of heart.
Kim and Joey, so we're looking at how many total employees that's gonna be affected?
Who's going to receive premium pay?
Go back to that chart.
Go to, go all the way to the bottom.
Part-time.
I thought it was 300 and,
Oh, it's 375.
what, 375 full-time.
That's your,
and
uh-huh.
Part-time,
Was
another
80.
86, and then poll workers, maybe another.
250.
No, probably some, this is, and honestly, this is where I've got to talk with the Board of Elections about, and the committee about the poll workers, because just because these poll workers were in our system didn't necessarily mean that they worked through that. So I actually had discussed something with the chief registrar, and she suggested that we kind of pull the payroll records during the months where they had the heavy, this year, where they had the heavy, like in February, March, April, when they had all that recount and audit and another election, to see who actually worked. So, but
only
yes,
fair.
definitely the 375 plus the 86, maybe another 70 poll workers.
All right, let's just forget about the poll workers. So you're looking at how many, three what?
75.
375.
Plus
86.
All right.
86.
And Kim, with that particular number, and to bring in those folks up to the dollar number, how much is the total amount? Is that it right there?
The 1,093,000, there you go. 724. So the way it's got it, we're $117 over if we do everybody. But like I said, there was 165 poll workers on the rolls, but that's not how many poll workers are going to.
Right.
So my guess is we're going to be right there. I mean, we'll be right.
Right in that range.
Well, I was just gonna say, with that figure there, and I don't know what the other commissioners feel about it, I'm just gonna give you mine. I don't see, that's a dollar amount that, to be real honest, we're about 3 years behind. As many as 5 years behind, really. I mean, I don't know what we got to try to do to get us, Joey, to that dollar figure, budget-wise. I know we had some add-ons and all of these things that happened this year, and all of us worked for the best interest, but there's no reason why that can't happen another time to bring these people back. I mean, we're talking about, we're calling people essential and non-essential. If they're getting their names up there, then they're essential. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, if you didn't need them, then they needed to be somewhere else. So we need to be looking at that.
I agree, Commissioner Walden.
I'm just saying the very first thing before any constitutional officer comes in there, and we've talked about this before, that's a goal that we need to be trying to.
Well, so you know, and I agree, and if you, when we integrate your $15 an hour threshold at the bottom, no less than 15, and that scale moves proportionately, and it's not going to move the same proportionately, but when UGA adjusts that scale, I think you'll be very happy with where you want to be. Considering that really last year before now, you did a market analysis.
We did.
And you were pretty darn close in a lot of areas. And I know a lot's changed since then, but I think you'll be happy after that. I really do.
Well, I don't want to, I think that we're above being close. I mean, we're sitting here depending on people. I mean, if you look up there and decide, like Commissioner Gillard just talked about it, I mean, it's a regular project that we take pretty close to our heart when you go down there on a Friday and you see them doing what they're doing. I'm talking about some of the road department, sanitation, people picking up trash. But if you had to, if this number was the same in 5 years and you picked the phone up and said, hey, I need you to do this, you're liable not to be talking to that person because he's already gone. And the only way to retain good employees is to start there in the beginning of the budget for next year.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
all the thing I'm gonna say.
Yes, sir, I agree, and that's the reason we're pushing, so we want to make sure we've got that number you need for the budget. And this makes them whole for this year.
For this year.
But then that will make them whole.
But yes, it's in a lump sum that makes them whole, but.
There's somewhere along the line that all of those numbers up there is gonna go away.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna have to still be figuring on, to make this work, it's gonna have to be some pretty serious things done in our departments and with our department heads, but, I mean, they've got to have these employees to work, whether it's in probate, the clerk, the courts, the sheriff's office, sanitation, or whatever. So when you pick the phone up to call them, it's liable to ring until you don't hear nothing but the answer machine. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I'm tired about, I've talked about this every year for the past 3 years. And the first thing we have is somebody wanting to know if they can get another computer system.
So there is one thing, like when we said, this is a draft, it can be changed, it can be tweaked, it can be, however you want to do. But if at your mid-month meeting, you at least adopt it, or even adopt a piece of it, then finance would be prepared to move forward with issuing the premium payments, I would hope, in November.
Well, this is October, this is
November.
November.
Yeah, right, so
This November
if you adopted it, or at least approved a piece of it, we could be sitting on go, and so your mid-month meeting is the 18th, so the next week, right before Thanksgiving, it's possible that we could go ahead and be prepared to issue the premium pay.
Well, Kim, you and Joe both said it's a fluid document.
Yes.
I mean, and we thank the committee. I think it was Commissioner Frazier, Commissioner Stevens, and the chairman. Y'all were the committee, and I know Kim and Joe and Mr. Mosley were involved. And I we got the email. I appreciate that. You're getting it out before the meeting. And as everyone know, I wanted to take care of those employees. And if y'all just convince me that that's in there,
It's in there.
I'm ready to,
It's in there.
I'm ready to adopt it now.
That's good news. That's good news.
I am now.
Joey, you look like you got reservations about
No,
something
sir,
there.
I don't, not at all.
I don't
Man,
have a problem.
I think we feel really
There's a
good.
few more sections, but I do know, as
Hey.
far as like the urgency, I just felt like the premium
It
pay
is.
was the urgency,
Yes,
because
Yes, ma'am.
anything else,
Well,
the recreation or the,
Commissioner Stevens said something about Jones Creek and
Yeah.
Miller Park. I mean,
That can be put-
that money is there.
Right.
You can.
Right, you can just move it
Right.
like you want.
You
Right.
can do whatever.
but I was hoping that we could get the premium payout.
Oh,
as soon
definitely.
And
as
I know,
possible.
Kim, you just said that is more to it, but we ready to vote.
Well, I meant, let me see.
Okay.
And premium, that's.
Actually, it gets sweeter.
Yes, it does.
Sweeter than taking care of the employees?
Sweeter.
Man, I can't.
So category 5 is infrastructure, and so there's $250,000 identified for the countywide sewer project.
Okay.
You had talked about making plans going forward to
Right.
address all that.
And then the drinking water, again, this is at the adult correctional facility. Those water lines are failing, and those items right there were in your CIP. We pulled them from there and put them on here.
Okay.
And then you've got your east and west end water expansion, 1.68 million.
This is the match money for the grants we just put in the hopper.
Okay.
And then category 7.
Uh-huh.
We kind of looked at the money, what it's also going to take to bring the water under the railroad
Right,
to, our,
right.
anyway,
Okay. Okay.
all the way up to the school, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Now for the icing.
so the ARPA does let you keep some of the money for any in-house administration that you're doing. So that's part of what you see there each year, the $150,000, that would recoup kind of Mr. Brown's time, my time, any other in-house time that we spend, we would be able to maintain that. The outside administration is what he was talking about, United Way, helping us with those applications. And then this $634,000, I just stuck this amount in there under administration, but this was kind of an amount still available to be allocated at the board's request.
Okay.
And that
So-
could be
Either
some
do we
more
wanna
money
keep
used for
some
part
back
of the
for-
payments going into your first year to those minimum
Yeah.
wage, or whatever.
However you want to
Okay.
do it. So,
Okay.
there wasn't every single penny allocated,
Yes,
so
sir.
there's still over
Left some
600,000 that,
Hard times.
hard times. But again,
We'd have to appreciate Joey for that recommendation that we
Well, but when you
do
think
contingency.
about it, again, we don't know, there may be 14 million more next year, who knows? But on the chance that they're not, that we were told to plan this money through 2026. So if we have a resurgence of something, who knows?
yeah.
What's coming in the
right.
next 3 or 4
Yeah.
years. So
And at that
the
point, you
committee
change
said,
it.
hey, we'll put some aside and
And also, I think one question, I don't know who asked the question in our meeting, was that if we put X amount of dollars here and it's not utilized, we can come back and
Absolutely.
shift that money.
This isn't a referendum, so you
Yeah.
can,
as long
Yep.
long as it meets the treasury categories.
right, as long as it fits in one of these categories.
We can shift that money.
Kim, on that remaining balance, did you have that covered and you put all that other stuff in, and then when you pull the cover weight, was that zero?
No, I
Okay.
put that in there to get it in there. That was a plug. That's what us accountants call plug.
Okay. Hey, man, that's
That's
great.
great.
So
Good
that's
job.
what we're looking at.
Thank you,
Y'all did
thank
a good
you.
job.
Thank y'all. We
Thank you to the committee. I do appreciate the
Good job, committee. Good job, everyone.
I just wish Justin was here where we could tell him, thank you.
But he's watching it online.
How that administrative stuff might work with
Yeah.
applications and all, for you to bring back some recommendations.
Okay.
Brush off. And again, before we leave there, if the board, I know Commissioner Jones isn't here, Commissioner Frazier helped develop it, but if you, we don't have to know tonight, but if you want to go ahead and say.
Well, yeah,
Premium pay.
Yeah,
you can
with,
go ahead.
We can go ahead and start running the reports that we need to try and get that set up. Now, this week, we're running regular payroll, but, we wouldn't have to wait until the week of Thanksgiving.
So by Thanksgiving, they can go buy a bigger turkey.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion to go
Yes,
ahead with the
Chair, entertain a
premium?
motion.
Yes, sir, I make a motion, we move forward with the premium.
Second it.
oh,
Motion
man,
and
I
second,
missed
we
it.
move forward with the premium
Okay.
pay as, Presented.
We'll start running that, and I'll notify you when we peg a date where we can run it separate, because we are gonna have to run that as a separate special payroll, not take any of the deductions and not match any retirement. So there's some things we gotta do, but thank you. I
All in
appreciate
favor?
that gives us a little more time.
Mr. Brown,
Mr.
question. I'm going back to that UGA study.
Yes, sir.
Will there anything be retro in this for them, for those guys?
That's totally up to y'all, and then it would be what the dollar amount is, but certainly whatever y'all want to do on it.
Because how long they've been, you applied for this UGA study, what, back
Well,
in?
what happened is now, so the firefighters' wages were already set. And so what they're tooling up for now is that increased infrastructure and rank and things like that. So that makes some things change. It won't change everything. And then the thing to keep in mind there is hourly rate is one thing, the annual earning is another, because they have automatic overtime. So that's the reason you may see some rates, be lower than other areas, but those others don't authorize automatic overtime.
Okay,
And so they come here because in the end, they make more.
so the same will apply for
EMS.
EMS, or EMTs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
But we'll bring all that to you.
Okay.
We're going to bring all that to you.
Good job.
thank you, gentlemen.
All
Thank you,
right.
everybody.
Other note, real quickly, is that before she leaves, is that I know Commissioner Walden asked me this a few minutes ago, the state ARPA money for emergency responders that was awarded by the governor to firefighters, certified firefighters, certified law enforcement, certified EMS, and volunteer firemen. We finally got, I think, all the material we needed, and 911, certified 911 people. That basically, we've gotten all the certification numbers we need from those divisions now. and
Yep.
I'll let you say when you think y'all are gonna do that.
Okay, so, we were gonna try and do that this month too. And so we still want to try and do that this month. Now that we just got that final list today, we're going to start going through it. And I will start, I'll probably tomorrow get with my payroll people, and we'll look at a calendar and try and schedule that. Those $1,000 payments we have to do in batches, and those are, we issue it and then we have to file for reimbursement. That money isn't already here. So it's a little more tricky, and that reimbursement is I've seen the template. I don't know if y'all have gone online and seen that template. It's very specific, very picky. So we'll probably go ahead and do premium pay because that'll be the easiest, and we have the funding for it. And then I would still like, in the month of November, to go ahead and start with the public safety, $1,000. And we'll do those in batches. We'll do fire, we'll do EMS, and fire and 911.
I didn't realize it was about the reimbursement method. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
you have to pay it and then file for
It'd
reimbursement.
be hard for a small county to do that kind of thing.
Will be, it would be for the
Yeah.
cash flow. You're right.
Yeah.
Probably have to wait until after they send out tax bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one other question. On that slide that was up there, it was something about incentive, to get people
The
vaccinated.
vaccine.
Right.
Yeah,
Again, we didn't work into the details of that.
Right.
Commission will need to come back and think about, I think we did allocate.
I think
an
we
estimate
said,
so much.
I think we said, well, let's do $250 per employee.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, we were talking about what Savannah's doing, what Chatham County's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just said, well, let's do 250. And then we said, well, let's just put 150,000.
Right.
And see
yeah.
if and when we'll use it.
Yeah, I mean, the amount was 150,000,
Right.
but and how many, everybody that's works for Liberty County, how many employees do we have, Joey? Do you know?
A little, let's see, 500.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I
Now, that's-
know. We
Well, that's both
we had
part-time and full-time.
yeah, we had the 375 and the 86. That's
Yeah.
461, but we got around 500.
Yeah, if you talk about total, because what you saw up there didn't include child support,
Right.
didn't include the DA's office.
right.
So, yeah, it's over 500. I don't know how far, 500, but I was trying to see.
But that's, that's some of the details on the stuff
So
we're talking
if
about.
150,000
How much?
if you did $250, that would cover 600 employees, 150,000.
Well, let's say the incentive would target the ones that hadn't done it, or would
Well,
you
what
do
most
something
people are
for the
doing, what
ones
most
that-
people are doing are giving an amount to the
everybody?
people. Yeah, giving an amount to the people that have gotten it. Of course, it's time to get it again.
Right.
So I think you roll again. I was thinking about
could,
that.
yeah.
Hey, look, it's time to get a renewal, so you go get the booster.
Okay.
Or you get it for the first time and you qualify for the incentive.
Okay,
So
okay.
there's actually 542 people. I just got a text. 542 employees. But again, if 150,000 would cover $250 per person up to 600 people. So
Good amount.
we're covered if we wanted to do that.
And that's just a number on the line item. I mean,
Yes.
it's still,
Right,
It's fluid.
exactly.
okay. But that's good.
Work source coastal space request. Thank you, Kim.
Thank y'all. Thank the committee members.
Yeah. You can come in later in the morning.
You heard him. You heard him.
Oh, hey,
Hey.
you need to come in and start getting them checks ready.
You're right. Hey, the employees online saying, no, gotta come in on time.
And it's gonna be a great Christmas party this year.
Yeah, that's great.
The work source, you may remember, wanted to see about occupying some space over with the
Reentry.
reentry program. Thank you, I'm sorry. And so you asked me to check on how much space and if they could pay. The fact is, really, all they want to do is use a cubicle over there and share a conference room, which they don't use much. My recommendation is that you really don't look at trying to calculate and charge for that cubicle space. They're trying to get back into the other building anyway that they were in.
It's one that
And it's
caught
very
fire.
temporary, yes, sir. I mean, to have a lease agreement, which we'd have to have with them for use of a cubicle space of
No.
No,
maybe 20 feet, I don't
Just
know.
let 'em-
I just-
Be good neighbors, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
If that's okay, we will work up something, just a piece of paper that absolves us of any liability and stuff like that.
All right, move forward.
I will. And so, the road department, as you know, we've been cleared to, work with Coastal Electric, down there on a piece of property. They're gonna go ahead and timber that property, and once they timber it, then we'll do the final plat and can go through with that. EMS station, this clears the final hurdle for that, so that should be hitting the street, for bids and advertisement within the next 2 weeks. We did get all the grants filed, so we applied for both sides of the water system, and Interstate Paper Road. So I got those in the hopper last Friday. So we'll wait to hear the outcome on those. I think committees are supposed to start reviewing those this month, which is very good. Other thing we'll start trying to work on between now and June 30th is a Census Challenge program, which I know, Mr. Chairman, you had some
I did.
some conversation about, and Mr. Ricketson emailed me. So more to come on that. We'll be doing some computer-operated stuff we need to do there. Mr. Jones and I know some of y'all have been concerned about getting his cabinets replaced down there. He's had that on the list for a couple of years, and he's had some money in the CIP for that. So he's been out some, and we finally have connected and have gotten a price.
Good.
We can move forward with that. We had some discussion a while back about going ahead and trying to do a resolution to increase the hotel motel tax.
You did.
And try to get something to the legislature this time. That would take it from 6% to 8%. In anticipation of maybe some type of convention center or something that may come up, or even if it doesn't, I would allow that money to be used. And I just want to know if it's okay if I get Kelly to go ahead and draft a resolution and do some explanation.
I remind the commissioners, Flemington has already done that. So
Yes, sir, they have, and the
We're
city
playing
council's
catch-up.
going to move,
we're playing catch
try to
up.
do it. I think if you were going to do, well, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it this year, because it has to be approved by legislature to do that. And so, you know,
Can we do
otherwise
that?
it would be to wait a year.
Can do it by consensus, you need a motion.
No, sir, I mean, if you just authorize me to get with the county attorney, I'll go ahead and do that, and he can bring you something for
Yes, sir.
discussion.
Move forward.
And then you can consider whether to adopt or not. And then, one of the things you talked about at your planning session, and talked about in here, is growth and possibly impact fees in the future to be charged for impact. So Mr. Mosley has talked with Bill Ross of Ross and Associates, who did the work for Flemington. They're one of the better ones in the state. He's going to be having some conversation with him this week. Next week.
Just out of curiosity, is that, would I find that to be in place in Effingham County or counties that are growing,
Sure.
Ryan County?
Mostly in growth counties. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Just think about the growing counties.
Mr. Mosley, you still surplusing equipment down at the, still doing it? You was supposed to come pick me up. You never did, man. You invited me to ride with you one time, and you never came back. I'm sorry. Okay.
We just wanted to know how much money you finally got.
Yeah, we need
That was our main goal for city.
That last one, we got 95,000.
95,000?
Yeah.
Okay, man, that's good.
The piece of property you're talking about, Joey, that EMC's going to timber, and we're going to go in and dig the stumps up. Do we have to have a land disturbance permit? Or are we immune from that?
We would need a land disturbance permit. You know, we would do that as part of that shop construction. Or could do it before, but we still have to get a land disturbance permit.
Mr. Brown, while you sitting, are we getting ready to demo the old voting pole down there?
We have been supposed to demo that for a while, and that's been on Mr. Wells's list.
I see the high horse sitting.
Mr. Johnson's been working with him. We've gotten everything out. We're going to try.
I see the high horse sitting right in front of the door of it, so,
That's in
I seen that
anticipation of the new
the other
fire
day, too.
station to get out
Oh,
of there.
yeah.
all right, that'd be one blight area we won't have to worry about.
You're talking about the one at Miller Park?
Yeah, the one, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's, me and Gary supposed to go there Friday morning and tear it down.
All right, go ahead. Don't need no permission.
You can do it.
Mr. Chair?
You do?
Other than one executive session. Yes, sir. Real quick.
Oh, before we go, I'm planning on having a community meeting, I hope, about the 1st of December. I will let everybody know more about it, probably at the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
We just have a legal matter.
All right, Chair, entertain a motion to go into executive
What
session.
about that, what I had
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
on the census count?
We're now back in regular session. We had a legal matter to review. Chair entertain a motion as to how we're going to address this legal matter.
Yeah,
You gonna do it, Commissioner?
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that to resolve this issue under action number 2020-SR-2035, that we as commissioners grant refund. Is that right, Mr. Brown?
Reimburse attorney
Reimbursement.
fees associated with that case number, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, the second?
Second.
Okay, all right, any further discussion? All in favor, let them know by raising your right hand, please. Motion passes. We will reimburse the gentleman for his legal fees. All right.
Mr. Chairman, one thing before we leave.
All right.
If there's any possible way, Joey, how about let's just make sure we don't have nothing before the end of the year and we can just cancel this mid-month meeting?
In December?
In November, yeah, we'll have us a good long Thanksgiving. You just make sure you keep it down. Just
Oh, I
let us know.
got
If
you.
we need to have a meeting, let's have one. If not,
We'll get that.
We'll see what's on
Well, a
the,
short one.
what's on the docket, yeah.
Oh,
All
wait.
right.
Okay.
Got a lot
Chair
of
entertain a
business
motion to
going on.
adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
I'm headed out to